Welcome. And the question today from Vicky1230 is, have you ever not slept for so long that you started hallucinating? What was your experience? Hi, this is Derek. I just put the Drama Llama, Fred, back in his llama pen, so that I can do this quick video for you with some of the stuff that Fred found on Reddit earlier today. If this is your first time watching our videos, help me out by watching to the end, and then giving me some feedback in the comment area below. And if you want more of these videos daily, don't forget to like and subscribe, with notifications turned on for this channel. Oh boy, let's get ready for some drama. Coming around the corner answered with, I was a passenger in a car and looking out the window. The shadows from trees would morph and grow and move. It was kinda scary, but I enjoyed it. It was like drugs before I did drugs. Don't do drugs. Do sleep. Komi-san answered with, yeah, after 70 hours or so. It's pretty disorienting and rational thinking starts to get very slow. The hallucinations are not realistic, but are more like gaps in your vision that are shaped like things. Might see a silhouette at a distance or briefly around a corner. Very difficult to function in this state. Would not recommend. For me, the sleep afterwards isn't very quality either. I usually wake up feeling poopy still. It feels like I am stressing in my sleep. Big Mike's being nice answered with, a buddy of mine landed a painting job working inside of a big commercial building. And he basically stayed in the place for 6 days straight smoking crystal meth. And painting to meet his deadline and avoid hiring a crew to help him. On the 6th day the building caught fire. And he ran into the lobby and was pulling people out into the streets and yelling to call 911. The firemen showed up and couldn't locate a fire because there was none. He was hallucinating. Take the Whip answered with, it's bad for you, you shouldn't do it. But if you're asking this question, you are the type to try. Remember, it's not real and relax. Go to sleep. For a while when I was active duty I got really paranoid about the shadow people for obvious reasons. You have no idea the relief I felt when I found out I wasn't the only one who saw them. I really thought I was losing it, but man, I was just exhausted. What the F? When I was depressed my doc prescribed me some meds to help me sleep better. The first time I ever took it, I was nervous, so my boyfriend at the time was on the phone with me, talking to me while I drift off to sleep. I don't remember any of this, but apparently, I kept telling him, there are shadow people circling around my bed looking at me. He just consoled me and told me it's fine, they are not going to do anything to me. And asked me to hug my plushies tight and go to sleep. Holy poop. Shadow people is creeping me out. Do we always see them when we need to go to sleep? CPTJ Sparrow 1 answered with, I went roughly 4 days on 5 hours sleep total. I could function fine, but I would just constantly hear things like people mumbling right next to me. The Turtle Moves 13 answered with, my mom suffers from narcolepsy. And one of the first treatments they gave her basically drove her also completely insane. She was up for 5 days. One day I walked into her bedroom hearing her talking to someone. I look around and ask her who she is talking to, and she tells me the lady in red. There is no one in the room at all, just us. I ask where is the lady, and she says the lady sits on the dresser and talks to her all night. I was like 14 at the time, so I went to the kitchen and hid her medicine until my stepdad got home and could take her to the hospital. The ER doctor was super upset about the meds her doctor had given her, it was way too much. Anyway, she stopped seeing the lady after they got all that straightened out. Edit, alright, I'm going to say it. Wow, this blew up. Thank you all for your thoughtful and kind wishes for my mom. She does have good days and bad days. Her narcolepsy is caused by a small tumor on her brain. She gets better when it shrinks and worse when it grows. It gets to about the size of a dime sometimes. They can't remove it but are trying to keep it shrunk with medicine. Chic Higher Booty answered with, I stayed up for 3 days straight when I was 17. On the 3rd day, I kept hearing people call my name as if they wanted to ask me a question. It didn't help that I also thought it would be a good idea to go to school that day. Multiple times a day, I would bolt upright and look around to see who wanted to my attention. Only to see my fellow students huddled over their work. It got worse as the day went. My friends were a little worried about how weird I was acting. I walked home after school, listening to my headphones as usual. But I still kept hearing someone call my name. The music made it worse, whatever I was hearing was already kind of muffled. And having a song playing in my ears only seemed to obscure it more. When I finally got home, I told my mom I wasn't feeling well. Went to my room and went straight to sleep, at 4 in the afternoon. As nodded off, I heard that voice calling for me again, making me jerk out of my sleep. This repeated a couple times until I convinced myself that I already told my mom I was sick and if she really needed me, she could come get me. I finally went to sleep and didn't wake until 2 a.m. to use the bathroom. And then went to sleep afterwards again until 9 a.m. the next day. I was a dummy. Oh yeah, people calling for your name definitely happens to me all the time. When I'm sleep deprived, I keep asking my family if they called for me multiple times. And they would look at me like I'm crazy. I hear tidbits of conversations when I'm close to falling asleep quite often. Just random non-important lines of conversations. Does this happen to everyone? Haha. Holero answered with, I hadn't slept for about 72 hours when I went to the emergency room. Doc gave me Ambien. I'd go home, get in bed and take one. A few minutes later, the floor was covered in water and the walls were melting. It was raining outside and the water on my windows was marching in formation. I've never known whether that was sleep deprivation or the effects of Ambien. I've never taken another. I was prescribed Ambien once. I took it and I could still wake up on it. But I started seeing the shadows in the corner of my room curling up and almost moving. It was freaky. I don't take Ambien anymore. Random screen names answered with, overseas on a deployment, started getting sleep deprived for a period of time. Started hallucinating the big date and palm trees moving across the road like in the Lord of the Rings when the trees walk. This always makes me question some of the weird poop I saw. Was it real or was I just really effing tired from op-tempo? Touchdown Ted answered with, I suffered from horrific insomnia about 12 years ago. I was on Lexapro and one of the side effects is insomnia. At the time, that wasn't well documented. So I tried everything from Ambien to alcohol so I could sleep. I would usually get about a 3-hour nap at most before being awake again. I would go 3 to 5 days without sleeping. Eventually, I hit the point of desperation and start recreational substances to try and knock myself out. There were several occasions of hallucinations. But the one that sticks out is truly terrible. I was on day 6 without sleeping at least 5 hours. I was laying in bed and a friend came in to start talking with me. We had many great conversations since our friendship began. But hadn't talked in a while at that point. I told him how bad I was struggling and that honestly, killing myself would have been easier. He said he felt the same way many times. But that it was a terrible idea and I knew how badly it had messed up his family. When I looked at him, he was a bloody mess on the side of his face. Jaw ripped apart, teeth missing, but talking to me like nothing was wrong. He had been dead for a few years at that point. Suicide. Shot himself in his garage after years of substance abuse. And I just had a 3-hour conversation with a hallucination of a dead friend. I ended up switching meds to Celexa and my sleep issues disappeared within a month. So, if you are having sleeping issues, please go see a doc. It's a dark place that darn near took me. Dre2048500 answered with, yes, I saw shadow creatures and I thought they were out to get me. Me too. I had been sleep deprived for weeks, less than 3 hours a night most nights. And hadn't slept the night before. I was out a walk with friends and we stopped for a bit. And then I started seeing the shadows move. Then they looked like a pile of bodies and then I was convinced that they'd come drag me into the pit. Get some sleep, this experiment isn't worth it. Leave me to my sleep answered with, once in my early 20s I took acid and didn't sleep at all for like 3 days. At one point on the 3rd day a door told me to go F myself. And I really wasn't sure if it was from the drugs building up over time or because I was so tired. I guess there's some confusion over the wording, but this was not one dose. This was multiple redoses over the course of 3 days with diminishing returns. And finally, I don't know what I'm doing answered with, spent a few weeks only getting about 4 hours of sleep a night. My brain started seeing from the corners of my eyes. Black things dropping from the ceiling that looked like giant spiders. I started making sure I got enough sleep. Well, there you have it. A perfectly great question answered by a bunch of fine and honorable citizens. Help support this channel by smashing the like and subscribe buttons. And hit that silly little bell as well to ensure you get the latest videos as they come out. Fred is always finding stuff for me to post regularly. So this is Derek signing off. Thanks for watching. Good grief, it sounds like Fred is out of his pen again. I think he found more drama for me to share with you. See you soon.